Hey DIYers, here today working in the garage. This door, I had done an Instagram series or whatever mentioning that I turned this door around. This used to be an in-swing door, but I got a new threshold over here. I got a new threshold that's meant for outswing doors, and made this door an outswing instead of an in-swing door because the space right here, this space is super tight. And you know, we every time we needed to leave the house, and there's 4 of us, we have to wait until everybody's got their shoes on, so they can move out of the way, and then the door can swing. It used to swing, and the knob that was on here would swing in that way. And it was just a pain. So we turned the door around, so now it swings out. So once one person is done, we can swing the door open, and then we just come out one at a time. So what I had to do was take the old brick mold. This was on the other side of the frame of the door jamb. Took that brick mold off and the inside molding off and put them back on the outside. But now I have a problem. And the problem is the brick mold, let me see if I can get this closer. So now the problem is the brick mold used to be right on the side of the old jamb, because it went all the way, like the old jamb came half an inch inside, and this brick mold was right on it. But I can't do that with the hinges. So it sits out a little bit, and now I need to figure out a way to fill this gap and seal this off. And I have an idea. Same with this side. But first, there's this strip of plywood I started cutting already. The plywood subfloor from inside extends out a little bit. But what I'm thinking about doing is actually making like a faux sill that this metal lip from the threshold can sit on top of, and it'll come out, you know, through on this side. On this side, this edge is 3 1/4 inches away from the wall. So if I go 3 1/4 inches on this side and extend it out 3 1/4 inches on this side too, and I'm gonna replace the brick mold with just a standard casing molding, except this is a 2 1/2 inch casing molding instead of the standard 2 1/4 inch. So it's a 1/4 inch wider, and it'll sit, you know, 3/8 or a 1/4 inch in on the jamb, 1/4 inch reveal on the jamb. So that will put it right here at 3. And if that's 3 inches from the wall, then it'll be a 1/2 inch gap on the side. So I'm going to take off the old trim, take off this old trim, and clean the wall off. And maybe put a bead of caulking on the outside before I put this down. I don't know yet. But I'm gonna start cutting this plywood lip so that I can make this faux sill. And I'm gonna be using 1x2s or a 1x2 to make it. And it's gonna extend, this is a 32 inch door. So the threshold is exactly 32 inches. And I'm going to add 3 1/4 inches on each side. So that makes it 6 1/2 plus 32. And that'll make it 38 1/2 inches. So I need to cut two 1x2s to 38 1/2 inches to make that sill. And I'm actually going to do it where I put one against the wall. And that'll just be right where the edge of this lip sits. Right on the one. And then I'll put another one right in front of it. So it's actually going to look like this is sitting a 3/4 of an inch in on top of a wood beam. And hopefully that looks good. We'll start with the 1. I'll put the 1 in first and then see how it'll go, and then decide if I'm going to put the second one. But I'm going to cut both of them now first. So it's the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those to 38. Actually, I take that back. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to continue cutting this plywood edge off. So let's get cutting. I'm not wearing this mask because of COVID. I'm wearing it for dust. Ah, boy. All right, so I got all that chopped up. Now I'm gonna go cut the 38.5 inch. I turned the light on, by the way. It's really bright. A work light. I'm gonna turn that off now so my eyes can readjust. That's better. All right, so I'm gonna cut that 38.5 inch. 2 of them, same size, 38.5. And then I'm gonna take off the old trim, and then I'll show you what's next. So I cut my 1x2s. I pre-painted them, by the way. Cut my 1x2s to 38.5 inches. And these are gonna go underneath the door as a sill. So let's go put that in. I'll put the first one in and see how it looks. And then decide what to do from there. So I will put in the second piece on top of that, and I will, and I'm shooting it in with 2-inch brad nails so that that'll hold both of them. So let's put the second piece in now. This one is just a hair longer than the edge, so that they sit flush together. I'm actually just gonna go and shave this off a little bit, just a little, like less than a 1/16 of an inch, just to get that to sit. And I'll be right back. All right, this time I took 2 hairs off. That should do it. Ah, perfect, perfect. So now let's take a look at how it would look with the trim sitting on top of it. Let's see. You know, something I should have done in the first one is, you'll see over here, I nailed into the front board. I should have nailed into the back the board that was in the back, like I did over here, so that I could just cover those nail holes up with the trim. Like they will be covered on the other side, hopefully. So look at that. They would have mostly been covered. Mostly. No. And when I put caulk on it, it would seal the rest. But now that trim has a very wide base to sit on to cover that up. And we completely covered up the gap that was on this side. I can seal all of that with caulking, which actually I think I'm gonna put the caulking right now first to make sure I can get enough in the back before I install this piece, just to prevent any air drafts from going inside. But I think I mean, I got no other option. I guess I could take it off, but I don't want to. But I like this, thick sill with the doors sitting on. I think it's gonna look pretty nice to have that. I will hide this gap with a wood filler or something, or with the caulking. I'll put it right on top of this gap and I'll cover that up. We'll see how it goes. Fill these holes, put some spackle or wood filler, and then paint. Same thing with the sides. Put like a little coat of wood filler or spackle just on the side, just to make sure that everything's filled in. And then eventually I'm going to be painting a second coat on the door. And when I do that, I'll also be painting the trim. That'll probably be next year, actually. I don't think I'm going to do that again this year. So this is right now my main concern right now is to make sure that I'm filling in and covering all the gaps where air can come in. And we'll put a bead of caulk on the sill right around the metal. And I'll be putting caulking all around the trim and stuff. So let's caulk this area, and then I can continue getting the rest of the wood ready. All right, I'm using Alex Flex caulking, which is supposed to be really good for trim, especially with the weather changes. Since this is an exterior door, I'm in the garage. So let me put this up a little bit so I'm not as awkward talking to my legs. So when you're caulking, you want to make sure you have a wet rag with you, and that your boards and everything are clean that you're caulking against. And we will caulk all the way around 360 degrees, so that everything is covered. Cut your thing at an angle. I didn't do that good of a job cutting it, and I think I cut the hole a little bit too big, so I'm going to be putting out a really big bead. So I'm actually don't care if there are spaces when I go over it with my finger. I will smooth it all out. So let's take a look. Get your finger wet, nice and wet rag. It's kind of gross. Aluminum dust or something is coming off. Let's just wipe. Not a good idea. You want to actually, when you're wiping caulk with a rag, you want to get it nice and tight around your finger so it's smooth like that, and then you can go back over it. clean off the excess. So I don't know what this black stuff is. It's just coming off of the aluminum or something. But it's leaving a bad color. Anyways, that is sealed. And I'll just go around the rest. Okay, so that is caulked all the way around. And now let's get on with the rest. Since I got more caulking to do, I'm just going to put the wet rag around the tip right now. Just to, I'm just gonna put the wet rag around the tip. So that it doesn't dry out. Alright, and I will be back